Welcome to this week's Saturday Blueprint on the two best homemade health foods. These are two potent health foods, kefir and bone broth, that you can make at home cheaply and quickly. I'll start, like I always do, with a quote. Fermentation may have been the greater discovery than fire. David Wallace. This week I've got a couple of great recipes for you. Both are superfoods and yet are cheap and easy to make at home. Bone broth and kefir. Kefir benefits. Fermentation is an ancient practice of preserving and improving foods. Kefir is a fermented milk drink that has been traditionally consumed in Eastern Europe and Asia for centuries. It is made by fermenting milk with kefir grains, which are a combination of bacteria and yeast. The kefir grains also go by the name of SCOBY, which is an acronym for Symbiotic Culture of Bacteria and Yeast. Kefir grains are small, gelatinous and cauliflower-shaped structures. The grains are typically white in colour and have a slightly sour smell. You can eat them, I typically do, when they start to over-proliferate and I need to reduce the population. The kefir grains ferment the lactose, which is a milk sugar, in milk, which produces the characteristic tangy taste and very slight fizziness of kefir, which is similar in taste to yogurt, it's just less thick. The strategy with using kefir grains to ferment milk is essentially that you outsource some of the digestion and detoxification to bacteria. The fermentation improves the digestibility of the milk proteins and milk sugars. There are a number of benefits to fermenting foods, of which kefir is one example, and I drink kefir daily. In the centuries before refrigeration, there was the practical benefit that fermenting food increased the shelf life. But there are also a number of health benefits which I'll outline. So even though we now have our fridges and next day grocery delivery, and certainly we have no need to ferment milk for preservation, we can still get some great benefits and have a tasty yogurt-like drink. Here are 5 potential benefits of kefir. Number 1, improved digestion. Kefir contains probiotics, which are beneficial bacteria that can help improve the balance of the gut microbiome. They can lead to better digestion, fewer digestive problems like bloating and constipation, and even an improved immune system due to the probiotics. Number 2, potential anti-inflammatory effects. Some research suggests that probiotics and other bioactive compounds in kefir may have anti-inflammatory effects. This could be beneficial for people with conditions like inflammatory bowel disease, arthritis, and other inflammatory conditions. Number 3, potential cardiovascular benefits. Some studies have found that kefir consumption may be associated with lower blood pressure and improved cholesterol levels, which could be beneficial for heart health. Number 4, nutrient rich. Kefir is a great source of several nutrients, including protein, calcium, and B vitamins. It's also a good source of vitamin A, which has antioxidant properties and is used to make immune cells, and phosphorus, which works with calcium to provide structure to your bones and teeth. Number 5, improved blood sugar. Predigestion of the milk sugars by the bacteria means that you get a much lower insulin response than if you were drinking regular milk, and you get a perfect dose of probiotics. The low lactose content makes it a good option for people who are lactose sensitive. So kefir is also easy and practical to make at home, as the recipe below will show. The kefir grains can be used repeatedly to make endless batches of kefir. They can also be used to ferment other types of liquid, such as coconut milk, to make a non-dairy kefir. I've never tried this, but you could experiment with that too. All the fuss around fermented foods rests on the perceived importance of the gut microbiome. And in researching this, I've found out that the gut microbiome is truly quite remarkable. Let's start with what it is. The gut microbiome is the diverse community of microorganisms that live in the digestive tract of humans and other animals. The microbiome is composed of a vast array of bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microbes that play a crucial role in the digestive process and in maintaining the overall health of the host organism. Now, I don't particularly like to think of myself as the host organism, but that's exactly how this relationship works. It's a symbiotic relationship where our bodily cells and processes work with the microorganisms in the gut in a win-win arrangement. Incredibly, the gut microbiome contains over 100 trillion bacteria from hundreds of different species, which is more than 10 times the number of cells in the human body. In fact, the genetic material of bacteria in the gut microbiome outnumbers the human genes by a factor of 100 to 1. This means that, in some way, we are more bacteria than we are human. And just from a numbers point of view, we can start to see that this thing we call the gut microbiome might be pretty important. It's a fledgling area of scientific research, so the exact mechanisms of the gut microbiome are not known, although the benefits certainly are. One of my favourite studies took twins, one of which was fat and the other normal, and extracted a sample from their gut microbiome. This was implanted in mice of healthy weight, and the mice that got the fat microbiome became fat themselves. The study proved the transmissibility of obesity via the gut microbiome. It also infers the opposite, that you can reverse obesity by altering the microbiome. The gut microbiome is an important source of our bodily immunity, playing a significant role in reducing inflammation. Mounting research suggests that our intestinal microbiome has a profound influence on digestive and immune function, inflammation control, mood stability, and cognitive function. E.g., 90% of the feel-good neurotransmitter serotonin is produced in the gut. Insulin sensitivity, fat metabolism, improved thyroid function, improved sleep, and much more. The gut microbiome plays a crucial role in our overall health and well-being. It's not just about digestion. Your body weight and immune function and brain function are also profoundly and intimately affected by these trillions of microorganisms that are along for the ride. Dr. Kate Shanahan, author of Deep Nutrition, has 4 pillars of healthy nutrition, and these are meat on the bone, which includes bone broth, more about this below, organ meats, 3, fresh foods, and number 4, fermented foods. She understands the importance of fermented foods such that they get their own pillar. They should be part of everyone's diet, and kefir is a great place to start. In comparison to yogurt, which you might be more familiar with, kefir is lower in fat but similar in protein. Here's a recipe for kefir. So the ingredients for kefir are milk and kefir grains. The kefir grains are reused each time, so once you've bought some to get started, you won't need to buy them again. For equipment, you just need a glass jar. A 2-litre capacity works well, plus a sieve for straining out the kefir grains. For those familiar with yogurt making, you don't need any heating or cooling or specific temperatures. You just leave the milk plus the kefir grains in the jar on the counter at room temperature. The recipe is so simple and foolproof. Every other day, just strain the grains from the kefir, put the strained kefir in the fridge to drink later, put the kefir grains back in the jar and add some new milk. I typically add about 1 litre of milk at a time. Leave on the counter for 2 days and repeat. I clean the jar out maybe once a week or 2. I found that I don't need to clean it each batch. And this is much cheaper than store-bought kefir, and it takes seconds really. Give it a try. Now, bone broth benefits. Bone broth is made by simmering bones and connective tissue for an extended period of time, which releases many nutrients and compounds into the broth. This slow cooking process also results in a rich, flavorful broth that can be used as a base for soups, stews, and other dishes. Bone broth is a traditional remedy for a number of ailments. Homemade chicken soup is a classic cold and flu remedy and is mostly comprised of chicken stock, which is another name for chicken bone broth. It has been used historically for ailments that affect connective tissues, such as the gastrointestinal tract, joints, the skin, the lungs, and muscles. We know that bone broth has been consumed for centuries in many different cultures as a traditional remedy for a variety of health conditions. I'm fascinated by foods and drinks which are also medicines. Is it a drink or is it a medicine? It's both. In Chinese medicine, for example, bone broth has been used for thousands of years to support digestive health, boost the immune system, and promote healing. In Western culture, bone broth has been used historically as a remedy for digestive problems, joint pain, and other ailments. Now, with modern scientific research, there are a number of properties of bone broth that have been linked to potential health benefits. For example, bone broth is rich in minerals like calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus, which are important for bone health. It also contains collagen, a protein that is essential for skin, hair, and nails. Let's explore the nutrients in bone broth and their benefits. Firstly, what's in it then? Well, bone broth is a good source of several important nutrients, including calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, and potassium. It's also a good source of protein and its precursor, amino acids, which is important for building and repairing tissues in the body. The nutrients gelatin, collagen, glucosamine, and chondroitin are also found in bone broth and come with a connective tissue on the bones that are typically hard to come by in the diet otherwise. Let's look at the key nutrients in turn. Collagen. Collagen is a protein, and interestingly, 25% of the protein in your body is collagen. It's great for hair, nails, skin, and joints. Consuming bone broth may help improve the appearance and texture of these tissues. Collagen is also believed to support the integrity of your gut lining with a highly touted heal and seal effect. Collagen is rich in amino acids like proline and glycine, which can promote good sleep by acting as inhibitory neurotransmitters. Dietary or supplemental collagen has a heliotropic effect in the body. That is, it travels to the areas where it is most needed, such as a brittle joint or tendon. Gelatin. Gelatin has soothing and healing gut health benefits. It may also help improve the balance of gut bacteria, which can have a positive effect on overall health. Amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein. Bone broth is a rich food in amino acids that gives it anti-inflammatory properties. Bone broth reduces the damage to organs and tissues because it is capable of modulating the immune response by decreasing the expression of pro-inflammatory cytokines and stimulating the expression of anti-inflammatory cytokines. This is the anti-aging tonic then, since aging is accompanied by greater levels of molecules called cytokines that promote inflammation. Reduce cytokines and you'll improve aging. Glycine. Glycine is one of the amino acids. A few studies have shown benefits in sleep quality, but the main benefit is in reducing blood glucose response when eating carbohydrates. Glucosaminoglycans. There are compounds in bone broth that gel besides collagen. The ground substance of cartilage is made up of proteoglycans, huge sugar and protein molecules. Attached to a core protein are long strands of glucosaminoglycans, or GAGs, also called mucopolysaccharides. These structures are naturally jelly-like. The GAGs in cartilage are hyaluronic acid, chondroitin sulfate, and to a lesser degree, keratin sulfate. Hyaluronic acid forms a central strand to which chondroitin and keratin sulfate bond. GAG-based drugs are becoming increasingly relevant to treat cancer. Glucosaminoglycans regulate the biomechanical properties of vessels, tissue assembly, and repair in vascular lesions. Chondroitin sulfate. Chondroitin sulfate is a jelly-like substance now famous as a supplement for joint pain associated with osteoarthritis. It functions to support and provide adhesiveness. It lines blood vessels and plays a role in lowering atherosclerosis, cholesterol, and heart attacks. Calcium. Calcium is a mineral and is important for bone and teeth health. It is one of the minerals in the matrix of these hard structures. Calcium is necessary for the transmission of nerve impulses, which allows the body to communicate between the brain and other parts. In addition, obtaining adequate amounts of calcium is associated with reduced risk of osteoporosis, colon polyps, colorectal cancer, calcium oxalate kidney stones, and can help you control hypertension and cholesterol. As well as the science, it just plain tastes lovely and is comforting to drink. And if the Lindy effect counts for anything, then it's bone broth. It's been used for centuries and will continue to be used for many centuries to come. So give it a try. Bone broth recipe. The recipe is simple. Assorted bones, marrow bones are particularly good. 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. This acidity helps get most of the nutrients from the bones. A tablespoon of whole peppercorns. A pinch of salt. Most of the seasoning is done after the boiling. 2 bay leaves. Water to cover. I use about 6 litres for my Instant Pot. And then optional is any carrots, celery, onions, etc. All the peelings, you can chuck that in too. Put everything into a pot, simmer all day on the stove, or if you've got an Instant Pot like I do, you can cook it on high pressure for an hour or more. I often cook on high pressure for 4 hours just to eke all the benefit out of those bones. Then you strain it and let it cool in the fridge. If you can, if you want to, skim off any solidified fat once it's cooled. You can use bone broth in recipes, for example, making gravy or soup, or I like to just heat it up and drink it, seasoning it to taste with salt. I have 2 cups of bone broth a day. Other fermented foods to try. You could also try sourdough. This is easy and tastes great, but for me, it's too much refined grains. Or about kimchi or sauerkraut, fermented cabbage. I've tried this but failed in the past, so now I do enjoy eating this, but I just buy the store-bought versions. And with that, that's it, folks. Have a great week and speak to you next time.